Upon resuming office in January 2025, President Donald Trump promptly reinstated aggressive trade policies targeting major U.S. trading partners, particularly China. On February 1, 2025, he signed executive orders imposing a 10% tariff on all Chinese imports, effective February 4, 2025. The administration justified this move as a response to national security concerns and alleged unfair trade practices by China. In retaliation, China announced on February 10, 2025, that it would impose tariffs of 15% on U.S. coal and liquefied natural gas and 10% on oil and agricultural machinery. Additionally, China initiated an antitrust investigation into Google and imposed export controls on certain metals, including tungsten, escalating trade tensions further. On February 27, 2025, President Trump declared that the existing 10% tariffs on Chinese imports would be doubled to 20%, effective March 4, 2025. These measures reignited concerns about a potential trade war between the world's two largest economies, reminiscent of the earlier US-China trade conflicts during Trump's first term. According to reports from the Global Times, a state-backed Chinese media outlet, Beijing is preparing countermeasures, likely to include both tariff and non-tariff actions, specifically targeting US agricultural exports, such as soybeans, meats, and grains, sectors highly reliant on the Chinese market. Historically, China has been the largest importer of US agricultural products. However, in 2024, its imports of these goods declined by 14% to $29.25 billion, following a 20% drop in 2023, attributed to previous rounds of tariffs and ongoing trade tensions. The anticipated Chinese tariffs are expected to exacerbate challenges for U.S. farmers already navigating a complex economic environment. In response to shifting market dynamics, American farmers have adjusted their planting strategies, with a projected 4% increase in corn planting to 94.55 million acres in 2025, while soybean planting is expected to decrease by 3.6% to 84 million acres, reflecting efforts to seek better profitability amid uncertain trade conditions. China's imports of U.S. agricultural products have fluctuated significantly over the past decade due to trade policies, geopolitical tensions, and market dynamics. Between 2013 and 2017, China's imports of U.S. agricultural products grew substantially, reaching approximately $22.6 billion in 2017. But the onset of the U.S.-China trade war in 2018 led to a sharp decline as China imposed tariffs of up to 25% on various U.S. agricultural products, including soybeans, corn, and wheat. This resulted in a considerable drop in imports, particularly of U.S. soybeans. Following the Phase 1 trade agreement signed in January 2020, China committed to increasing its purchases of U.S. agricultural goods, leading to a rebound in imports, with U.S. agricultural exports to China totaling $26.4 billion in 2020, surging to $36.4 billion in 2021, and setting a record of $42 billion in 2022 due to high commodity prices and strong demand. However, in 2023, U.S. agricultural exports to China declined by $9 billion to $33 billion, attributed to falling commodity prices and reduced demand amid an economic slowdown in China. The downward trend continued in 2024, with exports totaling $29.25 billion, a 14% decrease from the previous year. China's strategic move to reduce reliance on U.S. agricultural imports led to increased purchases from Brazil, Argentina, Ukraine, and Australia to bolster its food security and mitigate risks associated with trade tensions. As of early 2025, escalating trade tensions have resurfaced, with the US administration's announcement of new tariffs on Chinese goods, prompting China to prepare countermeasures, potentially targeting US agricultural exports, such as soybeans, meats, and grains. These developments could further impact US agricultural exports, and the threat of an escalating trade war has already influenced commodity markets, as evidenced by Chinese soy meal prices surging by 2.6% on March 3rd, marking the most significant increase in over 3 weeks. Potential disruptions to US soybean shipments could further tighten the soy meal market. The escalating tariffs between the US and China have broader implications for global trade and economic stability. The ongoing trade war, which began during Trump's first term, has led to significant disruptions in international markets. Both nations have imposed multiple rounds of tariffs, affecting various sectors and contributing to global economic uncertainty. The trade relationship between the United States and China has evolved significantly over the past few decades, transitioning from minimal interaction to one of the world's most substantial bilateral trade partnerships. This relationship has experienced periods of rapid growth, tension, and ongoing negotiations, reflecting the complexities of global economic dynamics. Formal diplomatic and trade relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China were re-established. In the late 1970s, following decades of Cold War tensions, a turning point came in 1972 when President Richard Nixon made a historic visit to China, meeting with Chairman Mao Zedong and Premier Zhou Enlai. This visit laid the groundwork for diplomatic normalization, which was officially realized on January 5, 1979, when both nations formally established diplomatic ties. The economic relationship between the two countries expanded rapidly in the following decades. In 1979, total US-China trade stood at approximately $4 billion, but by the early 2000s, China had become a major trading partner of the United States. Milestones include US companies investing in China's manufacturing sector in the 1980s and 1990s, China's 2000 designation of permanent normal trade relations status by the US, and its entry into the World Trade Organization, WTO, in 2001. From 2001 to 2010, US-China trade surged, with China becoming a major supplier of consumer goods, electronics, and industrial products to the US, and the bilateral trade volume growing to over $400 billion by 2010. From 2018 to 2020, trade tensions escalated under the Trump administration, leading to a trade war characterized by tariffs and counter-tariffs on goods worth hundreds of billions of dollars. By 2022, total US-China trade exceeded $750 billion, making China the US's third largest trading partner, after Canada and Mexico. China's WTO accession on December 11, 2001, marked a turning point in US-China trade relations, ushering in deeper economic integration and accelerated global trade. By joining the WTO, China committed to reducing tariffs, eliminating trade barriers, and adhering to international trade regulations, making its market more accessible to foreign businesses. This move positioned China as a key player in the global trading system and dramatically expanded its economic ties with the United States. Before WTO accession, China had already been undergoing economic reforms and opening up policies since the late 1970s. However, entering the WTO accelerated this process by facilitating foreign direct investment securing permanent most favored nation trade status, and enhancing China's role as a manufacturing powerhouse. For the United States, the agreement created opportunities for increased market access in China, but also raised concerns over trade imbalances, job outsourcing, and market competition. The impact of China's WTO membership on trade flows was immediate and substantial. In 2001, US imports from China stood at approximately $100 billion, tripling to over $300 billion by 2010. As multinational corporations expanded their supply chains in China, imports peaked at nearly $540 billion in 2018, before the US-China trade war led to tariff increases and trade restrictions. Despite these tensions, by 2023, US imports from China remained above $400 billion, demonstrating the enduring strength of economic ties between the two nations. China's growing role as a global manufacturing hub was reflected in the expansion of several key industries. The electronics and technology sector saw a surge in production, with China becoming a dominant supplier of smartphones, laptops, and semiconductors to the US market. Consumer goods, including clothing, furniture, and household items, also became major import categories, as American retailers sourced products from China at competitive prices. Additionally, the industrial, machinery, and automotive parts industries benefited from China's advanced manufacturing capabilities. Meanwhile, China emerged as a critical player in global trade. China, a supplier of rare earth materials, essential for producing batteries, solar panels, and electric vehicles, has strengthened its economic influence. While China's WTO accession brought benefits like lower consumer prices and increased trade efficiency, it also posed challenges for the US, contributing to offshoring in industries such as textiles, steel, and electronics. The US trade deficit with China exceeded $350 billion annually by the late 2010s, with concerns over intellectual property rights, forced technology transfers, and limited market access creating tensions. Despite trade disputes, China remains a key US trading partner, and the 2020 Phase 1 trade agreement sought to rebalance trade by increasing Chinese purchases of US goods. Companies have diversified supply chains, shifting production to Southeast Asia, Mexico, and India. Geopolitical tensions over Taiwan, technology restrictions, and national security continue shaping trade relations. China's 2001 WTO accession reshaped US-China trade, driving imports from $100 billion in 2001 to over $400 billion in 2023, fueling both economic growth and strategic competition. By 2024, the US trade deficit with China reached $295 billion, a 5.8% increase over 2023, contributing to a record overall US trade deficit of $1.2 trillion. Issues like intellectual property rights and market access exacerbate tensions, with US officials accusing China of forced technology transfers and trade barriers. The US-China trade war, starting in 2018 under President Trump, saw tariffs on goods like washing machines and solar panels, followed by retaliatory Chinese tariffs on US products. This tit-for-tat escalation disrupted global supply chains and increased market uncertainty. The trade war affected both nations, raising production costs and consumer prices in the US, while slowing China's economic growth.